The world of Runeterra might be one of the most fascinating and intricate fantasy settings in modern gaming. While League of Legends is commonly associated with its wildly popular competitive scene, Riot Games have been taking great strides in recent years to flesh out their world and the characters that reside within, even going so far as to reboot the entire story in 2015. While this push for a deeper narrative has been widely appreciated by the game's lore community, the results have been controversial at times. With a retcon world came the need to retcon characters. Riot has made a substantial effort in the last few years to reimagine the backstories of League's iconic champions to fit them into the new lore, but not every change has been met with positive feedback. Let's face it, no writer is perfect and hindsight is 2020, so a number of characters throughout the years have been left with less than stellar backstories compared to most of the roster. Still, it is my firm belief that criticism should always be supplemented with suggestions and feedback for improvement, which is what we're here to discuss today. Hello and welcome to Runeterra Rewrites, a series in which I'll be offering my own takes on League's most controversial stories and champions. My aim is simple: to propose alternative versions of these stories that better match the characters' themes and concepts, without needing to alter anything regarding their in-game designs or voice lines. With all that being said, please sit back, relax, and let us begin, shall we? For many years, the darkened bow has remained confined within the Ionian city of Pallas. The weapon's true nature has long been lost to time, though legends say it holds the spirit of an ancient god from a vast desert land. Others claim that the bow itself is something much older and viler than history itself dares to remember. Whatever the truth may be, the people of Pallas have guarded the Darken for generations, choosing only their most skilled warriors to protect its prison temple. Among them, none seem better suited to the task than the interwoven warriors, Valmar and Kai. Valmar and Kai have been inseparable since they were children. Kai, a prodigy marksman, was known for his sense of humor and fierce resolve. Though infamous for his pranks, Kai would never hesitate to step in and defend someone in need, no matter how poorly the odds stood in his favor. By contrast, Valmar trained in the ways of swordsmanship since he was old enough to grip a blade. Diligent and studious, Valmar was what many considered a model samurai in the making, yet he was also unendingly curious about the world and the many wonders it held. At a glance, the two boys seemed like total opposites, yet they formed an unbreakable bond from the day they met. Kai would often accompany Valmar to explore the surrounding wilderness, only for Valmar to shelter Kai whenever one of his pranks went awry. As each boy matured, mastering the bow and blade respectively, their bond became something deeper than simple friendship. Valmar became a part of Kai, and Kai a part of Valmar. Neither was complete without the other, and so it came as little surprise that when Valmar was chosen to guard the Temple of the Bow, Kai soon followed. Together, Valmar and Kai drove off many would-be thieves seeking to claim the cursed weapon's power as their own. The two fought as one, each arrow from Kai's bow in perfect sync with every swing of Valmar's blade. Eventually, they came to be known as the Locust and the Mantis, for the whirring of Kai's arrows and the elegance of Valmar's blade, respectively. It was believed that none could stand up to their combined might, until the Noxians came. From their post at the temple, Valmar and Kai watched in horror as the invaders stormed their home, setting fires and killing all opposition. For the first time in years, the two guardians found themselves at odds. Kai wished to help defend the people of Pallas, but Valmar insisted on protecting the temple. Kai abandoned his post to help drive back the Noxians at the gate, believing that doing so would lighten the load on his partner's burden. By the time he came back, however, Kai realized his mistake far too late. Kai arrived just in time to find an injured and bloodied Valmar desperately fending off a wave of Noxian assassins. Kai emptied his quiver to dispatch his partner's assailants, but Valmar's wounds were fatal. Valmar's last breath was spent warning Kai that the bow must be guarded at all costs, but his warning was drowned out by a surge of powerful emotions. In that moment, Kai heard a voice calling out to him from within the temple, promising vengeance and the strength to punish his enemies. Driven by rage and grief, Kai followed the voice inside, just as more Noxian invaders began their ascent up the temple steps. It was there, in a pool of mystical water, that Kai at last laid eyes upon the cursed weapon he and Valmar spent years protecting, the darkened bow. Kai hesitated for only a moment before grasping the bow, letting its power flow through him. Kai's mind was filled with images and thoughts not his own. A vast desert empire, a man made a god, betrayal, war, and finally, imprisonment. These were the memories of Varus, an ascended being who devoted his life to serving Shurima, only to be abandoned in his time of need. Varus's bitterness and hatred had summoned the darkened bow, granting him the opportunity to seek revenge on those who had wronged him. In the end, Varus was sealed within the bow, becoming one with it, and now he would become one with Kai as well. As Varus's memories filled Kai's mind, the Darken's power corrupted his body. Varus prepared to usurp Kai's form entirely, but to his surprise, the Ionian's drive for vengeance matched his own. Kai was prepared to give anything to avenge Valmar, his fallen half. Yet he would do so with his own hands rather than entrust the task to a fallen god. Even as their minds fought, the archer's new fused body moved on pure instinct. One by one, the Noxian forces in Palace were felled by crimson arrows of pure malice. Seeing the corpses of his kinsmen and the ruins of his home only fueled Kai's rage further, which in turn empowered the darkened weapon in his grasp. Finally, as the Noxian forces fled, the two archers came to an agreement. Varus would lend Kai his strength, in exchange for the Ionian's body once Kai's vengeance was complete. Now running on borrowed time, Kai has but one objective: to find and kill everyone he holds responsible for the destruction of his home and the death of his partner. To Varus, however, the destruction of Noxus is but the first step of a much larger goal: revenge against the gods who betrayed him and the world that sealed him away.